At the sound of the bell, the next person can come in. Come here. We bow to one another.
Here?
Then you take a seat. No,
Oh, it's
just
one to another.
you are fine.
Oh.
Yeah, you
Oh,
just bow
okay,
to one
okay.
another, and
Sorry
then
for the
you can go to
confusion.
your seat. No
All
problem.
right,
There's
all
a
right.
first to everything.
Yeah, no, first time, you know. No idea what I'm doing.
Thank you, Julia. And now all rise, please, for the aspiration.
Victorious Buddhas, compassionate ones, throughout the infinite worlds of the 10 directions, grant your blessings so that the inner and outer work that I accomplish today bears the fruits that multiply beyond imagining and extend to the very limits of this existence, to benefit myself, the ones I love, and the countless other beings of the 6 realms.
Thank you. We may now sit. Okay. So it's so very nice to see this group growing week after week, and actually, I'll have a little word of introduction this week because there are many changes. First of all, we have a logo and we have a name. We were called VR Sangha until not long ago, and we baptized it not long ago to the name of Sambhogakaya Sangha. Now, I know that many of you are beginning practitioners, so I might say a word about what does Sambhogakaya means. I'm not. There are actually three kayas or three bodies of the Buddha, and I'm not gonna get into all of them now because that's an entire class. But the Sambhogakaya is known as the body of joy. And the way that the body of joy works is that it's about our more subtle reality, if you will. You could think of it, if you're not familiar with Buddhism, as like the action of the atomic world. So it's not quite form yet, it's not yet objects, it's not yet bodies. It's the play of light and the play of sound and the play of energies and the play of atoms and how they all get together to slowly create manifestations that we can perceive. Usually, this world in Buddhism is said to be perceived only by the enlightened ones because only them have the sensibility and the attention required to be aware of those more subtle manifestations. But the reason I chose this name for our Sangha is because VR is pretty much a body of joy. We put on our VR suit and go play a game. We put on our VR suit and go meet one another. And also, it's completely like illusory. Although this world looks real around us, it is a subtle manifestation made of light and made of illusions and made of sounds. And we all feel together, although we're not. So it's pretty much a communion space where the enlightened ones, the ones enlightened by virtual reality gear, can meet. And I thought it was a very appropriate name for a virtual reality Sangha. So that's how I decided on this name. And more simply, Sangha or Samgha, as it is written in our name, which is the difference is Sangha with an N is in Pali, and Samgha with an M is in Sanskrit. Sanskrit is the nobler language, the more religious language in Indian culture. So Samgha is basically the fellowship of monks. Traditionally, it was only monks, but it was expanded to include the lay people and everybody, basically, who is a Buddhist practitioner. Hello, Riskan. See. And so we are a basically a virtual reality fellowship, and we get together to study Buddhism and to meditate. So welcome to Sambhogakaya Samgha for the first time officially. Another thing that happened is that, as you can see, we have less and less cushions free. We've been growing very well from one session to another. And in fact, I did a poll recently and discovered that many members had trouble joining us before because they were living in other time zones. So we next week, starting next week or the first session of November, we are adjusting the schedule a little bit, and we'll hold our meetings on Mondays. I'm sorry, Inazuki, I see your hand raising. Do you have a question?
Oh no, it's just my avatar. Does it on its own? Yeah.
Now I'll know. Thank you. Yes, so we have adjusted the schedule a little bit. So we will be holding now the same session twice every week. One's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and the other session is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can join whichever fits your schedule best. And if the poll is representative of our membership, then we should have pretty much twice as many people participating as we already have, because the waiting list is quite extensive in other time zones. So that's another brand new thing this week, the new schedule. We have updated the handbook. So if you don't have the version 2 of the handbook, you can get it from Discord or from Facebook. And I have updated all of the program at the end with the different themes and the movies and everything that we are going to do. So that's one thing. Another novelty this week is I've been interviewed by Frequency VR, which is a Spanish VR chat. It's like a vlogger, a VR chat channel, and this is going to be released this Friday. We might move it around in the community, but we're trying to get the attention right now of some well-established Buddhist media as well, because we feel that what we're doing is quite fun, and it had been predicted by them. So you might see this little interview running around. So that was another great thing this week. And thanks to the people at the VRChat events, I'm pretty sure some of you came straight from there. They have created for us the health and wellness channel, and well, that's what allowed us to invite you here today, and we're very happy, very grateful that you can join us. So that's pretty much it. I don't think I'm missing anything. Today, we're going to ask Neo-Jex to read for us. The teaching today is the last teaching of the Buddha. And it's funny because it's probably the second time that we speak of the Buddha in this Sangha, and we're already at his last teaching. Like, we skipped his entire life. So the reason for that is that he gave a very meaningful kind of a summary teaching at the end of his life. And one could say that almost the entire path of Buddhism resides in this small teaching, and that the other things that we will learn together will be to unpack this one as the weeks pass and as we practice. So, Neojex, did you find a way to to read that with your VR gears on?
Yeah, I have it. I'll just lift up the goggles a little.
Okay, so whenever
Can
you're ready,
everyone
you
hear
can.
me okay? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Great. All right. Beneath the sala trees at Kusinagara, in his last words to his disciples, the Buddha said, "Make of yourself a light. Rely upon yourself. Do not depend upon anyone else. Make my teachings your light. Rely upon them. Do not depend upon any other teaching. Consider your body. Think of its impurity, knowing that both its pain and its delight are alike causes of suffering. How can you indulge in its desires? Consider yourself. Think of its transiency. How can you fall into delusion about it and cherish pride and selfishness, knowing that they must all end in inevitable suffering? Considering all substances, can you find among them any enduring self? Are they not all aggregates that sooner or later will break apart and be scattered? Do not be confused by the universality of suffering, but follow my teaching, even after my death, and you will be rid of pain. Do this, and you will indeed be my disciples. My disciples, the teachings that I have given you are never to be forgotten or abandoned. They are always to be treasured. They are to be thought about. They are to be practiced. If you follow these teachings, you will always be happy. The point of the teachings is to control your own mind. Keep your mind from greed, and you will keep your behavior right, your mind pure, and your words faithful. By always thinking about the transiency of your life, you'll be able to resist greed and anger, and will be able to avoid all evils. If you find your mind tempted, and so entangled in greed, you must suppress and control the temptation. Be the master of your own mind. Someone's mind may make him a Buddha, or it may make them a beast. Misled by error, one becomes a demon. Enlightened, one becomes a Buddha. Therefore, control your mind and do not let it deviate from the right path. You should respect each other, follow my teachings, and refrain from disputes. You should not, like water and oil, repel each other, but should, like milk and water, mingle together. Study together, learn together, practice my teachings together. Do not waste your mind and time in idleness and quarreling. Enjoy the blossoms of enlightenment in their season and harvest the fruit of the right path. The teachings which I have given you I gained from following the path myself. You should follow these teachings and conform to the Spirit on every occasion. If you neglect them, it means that you have never really met me. It means that you are far from me, even if you are actually with me. But if you accept and practice my teachings, then you are very near to me, even when you are far away. My disciples, my end is approaching. Our parting is near, but do not lament. Life is ever changing. None can escape the dissolution of the body. This I am now to show by my own death, my body falling apart like a dilapidated cart. Do not vainly lament, but realize that nothing is permanent, and learn from it the emptiness of human life. Do not cherish the unworthy desire that the changeable might become unchanging. The demon of worldly desires is always seeking chances to deceive the mind. If a viper lives in your room and you wish to have a peaceful sleep, you must first chase it out. You must break the bonds of worldly passions and drive them away as you would a viper. You must positively protect your own mind. My disciples, my last moment has come. But do not forget that death is only the end of the physical body. The body was born from parents and was nourished by foods, just as inevitable are sickness and death. But the true Buddha is not a human body, it is enlightenment. A human body must die, but the wisdom of enlightenment will exist forever in the truth of the Dharma, in the practice of the Dharma. He who sees merely my body does not truly see me. Only he who accepts my teachings truly sees me. After my death, the Dharma shall be your teacher. Follow the Dharma and you will be true to me. During the last 45 years of my life, I have withheld nothing from my teachings. There is no secret teaching, no hidden meaning. Everything has been taught openly and clearly. My dear disciples, this is the end. In a moment I shall be passing into nirvana. This is my instruction.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, so if it's your introduction to Buddhism, it's a heavy introduction to Buddhism. We'll try to, first I'm going to try to figure out how to hold my gear as well, and I'm going to try to make it simpler for you guys. So if I do this, you still hear me fine?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey, if you don't mind, I gotta restart my game. I'm having issues right now. Is it okay if I get back in a minute?
It's okay. So, okay, so I'm trying to figure out how I can make this work. Okay, because I took some little notes, and just like you, NeoJex, I would like to see them. So, all right. Okay. So, the very first words of the Buddha's last teaching are, make yourself a light. Do not rely upon anyone else. And it is a very important lesson. A Buddhist does not need to believe in anything. He finds out, and as he becomes skilled at finding out, finds great freedom. Although there are many teachers and gurus in the Buddhist world, never exchange your intelligence for devotion. Being spiritual doesn't mean you suddenly have to become stupid and blind. But how do we reconcile that with the Buddha also asking his disciples to only follow his teaching? Well, Buddha, as we are about to see, is basically telling us, you are making yourself suffer. This is the basic teaching. But at the same time, the work is not done. You have to dive deep into yourself. You have to observe your mind to understand how. And in doing so, you are both following the Buddha's teaching and becoming a light on your. Then he goes on to speak about the impurity of the body, which might surprise you and seem very backward. Well, it is. The teaching is 2,500 years old, and so it has to be. But we didn't have to take it that way. The main problem of the body is that it singles itself out from the universe. It is not always one with everything, and in fact, it often contradicts its surroundings. And as proof that the body is somehow cut off from the entire experience of reality, the Buddha goes on to say that the body experiences pain and delight. So these are signs that it holds certain preferences about what goes on around it. It is sending signals that were once very useful, signals for survival. But now, in the absence of threat, all it manifests is a never-ending desire for more comfort. Hence, we are tricked by these impulses, often indulging in the pleasures of eating, drinking, and having sex beyond what nature truly demands. It is also interesting to point out that we are very likely to escape when we are feeling even a tiny bit uneasy. We run away from pain, obviously, but also from complications, efforts, and even boredom. Then the Buddha points out to the transient nature of everything. He hints at the body's decay and at the fact that nothing in this world is permanent. Mountains erode away, and stars, such as our sun, will eventually disappear too. Everything that we can see, hear, touch, smell, and taste will just as soon disappear. Would you cry every time a beautiful sight leaves your eyes? Jacques Deval, a French playwright, once wrote, Dieu aima les oiseaux et inventa les arbres. L'homme aima les oiseaux et inventa les cages, which translates to, God loved the birds and invented trees. Man, on the other hand, loved the birds and invented cages. This quote points out very clearly to the mistake of attachment and how it opposes love only to give more credence to the Buddha's lesson. Do not become attached to anything, and more specifically, what are known as the five skandhas, namely form, sensations, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. We'll talk about them at a later date, but basically this is how your mind functions as it relates to the world. So the Buddha proceeds to let us know that nothing is endowed with a solid self, that what we call ourselves is merely a snapshot of our physical state, memories, feelings, thoughts, and a series of preferences and aversions that we call personality at a particular point in time. The self of everything, just like ours, is transforming constantly into something else. It only means that our world is entirely made of a vibrant and unfathomable life force. So, am I loud enough? Are you okay so
That's
far?
better now.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I will keep on then. The Buddha insists that his teachings are to be thought about and practiced. This might seem obvious, but it is very important to combine the two. In Buddhism, the intellectual understanding without practice would be like thinking about losing weight but not changing your diet and not exercising. You wouldn't get a lot of results. So similarly, you couldn't start making drastic changes in your life regimen without a solid basis in nutrition and physical exercise, or you would risking getting sick and hurting yourself. So if you want results in Buddhism, just like in any other things, understanding and practice must work hand in hand. It's just that the practice in Buddhism is a bit exotic. It is about meditation and it is about introspection, so it doesn't really feel like work. In the text, the Buddha says that we should guard our mind against selfish desires and anger. The reason for this is that contentment is a very close relative of happiness. Desire and anger, on the other hand, can only come about when a seed of dissatisfaction with the world is planted. And dissatisfaction and contentment, being polar opposites, cannot coexist. Therefore, when one notices that his mind is filled with desire or rage, he needs to uproot the seed of dissatisfaction to create some space to welcome love and happiness. Words like control and suppression are strong words. As you practice, make sure to deal with your mind gently and patiently. The act of noticing what is going on inside and outside of our mind, including unwholesome mental states, is what is known as awareness. To develop a reflex-like ability to bring back the mind to its primordial peace is what is known as mindfulness. Awareness and mindfulness need to work together, just like understanding and practice. The Buddha then goes on to say that the mind of a man can turn him into a god or a beast. So if you were there at previous sessions, you know that this observation relates to the gray, reckless elephant, the untamed elephant, and to the tame white one. So basically the mind that is not under control and the one that is, or the godly mind and the beastly. Then in the third part of the teaching, the Buddha calls for the unity of his Sangha and advises his students to avoid division. Likewise, as modern humans, we need to learn to come together, not to label and separate. Polarization is used by politicians, military organizations, and even religious organizations like to divide and conquer us. It is a great source of conflict in this world, but it also happens on a much smaller scale. We learn that it's us very early, that it's us versus them very early on in our lives, and spend it competing against one another. So we need to get rid of our fears, of our limiting beliefs, and of our judgments, and learn to embrace difference. For it doesn't matter where you go in this world, you will only encounter people. All of them laugh, cry. All of them want what's best or what they think is best for their children. And what's left beside that is only cultural ornamentation and exotic landscapes. The Buddha also specifically advises his Sangha to study, learn, and practice together. The reasons for this are quite practical. First, it enriches the experience to share together. And second, it makes the discipline so much easier. If you indeed want to enjoy the blossoms of enlightenment, you must first plant and care for a tree, and then you have to let it go through its own life cycle. The mind undergoes a similar process and cannot be rushed. In the meantime, if you achieve mental clarity for a single second, then you are a Buddha for a single second. You are wise and selfless, incapable of hurting a fly. If you achieve mental clarity for 10 minutes, then you are a Buddha for 10 minutes. But the moment that you let go of it, you may go back to being a beast and couldn't be farther from the Buddha. Learn to recognize this luminous state of mental clarity. When you connect to this continuum entirely free of self, you are in the presence of what the Buddha had discovered, in the presence of enlightenment itself. You are in fact connecting with the essence of our universe. This is the true meaning of God is alive or Jesus lives that we hear often. The enlightened beings of the 3 times and of the 10 directions are right here in this timeless space to commune with you, which also incidentally is also the true meaning of communion in Christianity. So this is a profound teaching. In Tibetan Buddhism, they have a beautiful tradition of treasure discoverers, where any realized being in a moment of clarity can connect with that continuum and receive a treasure or terma of Dharma hidden in a rock, in water, or in the mind. They are sometimes objects like statues and can also exist as Dharma texts and experiences. But the reality is that all realized beings, regardless of the tradition that woke them up, have discovered the same truth and see more or less the same things when they look at the world. So in a way, they could all write the same book and or give the same teaching. It is because of these termas that the Nyingma sect canon continues to grow to this. And then the Buddha goes back and echoes the notions that he exposed at the beginning of his address. He uses the dissolution of his own body to remind his students that nothing in our phenomenal world is permanent, and point out that our desires only reflect our want for the world to stop being so unpredictable and challenging. To desire the world to be otherwise, you oppose life. And when you oppose life, you always lose. Desire is rooted in fear of suffering. It can bring temporary satisfaction, but reveals its true effect as it matures. Desire ultimately leads to frustration, anger, and more fear. Consider that someone owns an old mobile phone and is starting to feel quite shy to use it in public. This person would have been window shopping for the latest iPhone for several months. When their desire reaches its highest point, and if they have the means, they would be very likely to spend the money to get it. Now, these things are expensive, and it is probable that the person would become very angry when the phone drops and breaks just 1 week after buying it. And then they would feel even more ashamed of going back to use their phone, their old phone. So remember this: fear, desire, and anger form a closed loop. They work together to make you feel miserable. It is better to be fearless, unattached, and loving. They also form a closed loop that creates more peace and fearlessness. This is how courage manifests. True courage. So then the Buddha finishes his last address by teaching his students that although he has been enlightened, he was not the light itself. The light will keep on and will be accessible to those who practice his teachings. It is yet another name for the continuum that I was describing earlier. When you allow this light to shine on you, you cannot really err, for it is free of ego and extremely sensitive to its surrounding. That is why the Buddha tells his students that the Dharma will be their teacher. Surrendering the self to the light is what the Christians call, beautifully, committing an act of grace. It is doing the Buddha's or God's or Christ's will. The last paragraph, to me, is very important. The Buddhist world is filled with mysticism and magical thinking, secret teachings, and spiritual materialism. But the Buddha here clearly says that he withheld nothing, that there is no secret teaching and no hidden meaning. What I want to tell you is simply this. If you are in contact with an enlightened master, do not think, oh, he says that, but probably means such and such. If he truly is enlightened and not being ironical, he almost certainly is meaning exactly what he is saying. It is our complicated minds that often corrupt the teachings. Be careful about that. And that is pretty much my commentary for today. I would like to know if you have a question, a commentary, or how you experienced this lecture so far before we move on to meditation. You can raise your hand. Yeah. You want to say something, Defiant Delirium? Yeah, you're pointing over there. I'm not sure I understand though. Sorry.
Controller died.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, and anybody wants to say something about today's teaching and or commentary, or ask a question?
Well, I want to say that I liked it. I think it was great.
Well, thank you. I liked it too. All right. Did somebody feel like there was some truth in there, like something connected with their own life? When we speak about impermanence or desire or anger and all of that, you did Always Faithful?
Well, it's like the teachings. What I think is great is that it's simple to follow, as you said, and it's like no hidden meaning behind it. So it's something that everybody can relate to. It's true, of course, and I just think it's good. Like I feel like I'm going back to my roots right now. It's simple teachings that you get to know when you're young, but you just forgot about it. Like working and all as an adult. it's just good to go back to the roots and like think about those kind of stuff. But that's
This
why
is
I
a
really liked
wonderful.
it.
This is a wonderful comment to me because it's funny. As I'm giving these classes, I'm starting from scratch, and starting from scratch was 20-something years ago for me, and I feel the same. It's good to revisit those root teachings because obviously now we're kind of at the Hinayana states in the first vehicle, but later we will explore Mahayana. Maybe we will learn about some notions of Vajrayana as well. Doesn't really matter whether we do or not because everything is in there. These are, as far as we know, the original words of the Buddha. The ones that are the most traceable are in the Hinayana teaching. And it's a very good basis, a very good place to start. And I am amazed, and I don't know if you get that feeling also, always faithful, that my understanding changed so much of these words over the year. I absolutely do not relate this on the same level now that I did 20-something years ago.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, thank you. Just want to say what I liked it.
Good. Thanks. Anybody else?
I really liked the part about us all helping each other, working in harmony. I think it said enjoying the fruits and the blossoms together and not focusing on anything that doesn't bring us together. So we can all be enlightened and happy and wonderful together. I thought the way it was written was really beautiful.
Well, I think this is especially pertinent in the world of virtual reality, where essentially we're together today, but we might all be sitting alone or somewhat alone in real life, right? Because virtual reality can translate into the Matrix at some point. We could all be in our little pods experiencing what we think would be reality while we're just basically cocooning and escaping somewhere. So I think we need to be careful as early adopters and virtual reality users to use this technology to come together, to get together, to get to know one another really, and not let it become our comfort zone or our escape. I think it would be like a Buddhist duty to make a point that the socializing that you do here, you can repeat outside of here, that the confidence that you develop here, you can repeat outside of here, and that the care that you have for others and the goodwill and the good attentions that you express in this fake world, we bring into the real one, because that's what humanity really needs. Let's use this as a technology that brings us closer, not farther from one another, but for real. This, I think, the reason why this Sangha exists, as far as I'm concerned. Beyonce, you want to say something?
I wanted to get like a small summary again about the thing that you said, Sensei, about desire. Like if we kind of release having desires, it gets rid of anger and tones down the. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of the phrase. Could you repeat that?
When you were talking about the part of letting go of having any desires, it helps to get rid of like anger and being disappointed, and like, you know, when you let go of the attachment of having any kind of desire.
But we have to realize that desire is not evil in itself. The problem with desire is that it's somehow a rejection of reality. If I desire something, it's because somehow I consider that I am lacking. And if I am lacking, I am not content. So that's the tricky part about desire. We're not really trying to make them disappear or fight them, but we really need to recognize them for what they have. And for what they are, I'm sorry. And what they are is a state of dissatisfaction. So there are ascetics and other traditions that like, oh, I must free myself from desire and I must free myself from thoughts, and they work very hard at what I would call denaturing themselves. That's not really the point. Is It's just that if I'm dissatisfied with reality right now and I have desires for reality to be otherwise and I pursue them, then when I find myself in that new situation, I will probably be dissatisfied again and I will follow another desire. So desire is kind of the path for eternal dissatisfaction. That's why it leads to suffering, because eventually I won't be able to fulfill a desire and then I'll be frustrated and angry. So that's I think that's the point about it. You can desire to eat, you can desire to have a drink, you can have those you can have aspirations also, but just make sure that they're not a rejection of what is. Make sure you embrace and welcome what is in your life before you allow yourself to desire something else and to move away from it. Right. Does that answer your question, Kionsa?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Sensei.
Sure. So, anybody else?
Me?
Okay. Yes, please.
Yeah, I was thinking about the metaphor that they use about like mixing oil and water, and that we should be like milk and water. That's something that mixes. And the fact that we can like follow a path together and not like debate that much is kind of interesting, because the world that we're currently in is so political and so divided, and everyone wants to have like the right opinion. So the idea of like going somewhere with other people and not like disagreeing in everything is kind of nice for me, at least.
So plus we've had a discussion earlier when I revealed that you want to comment something, you want to react something, you object on this? I don't hear you though. I don't know if you're muted.
I was muted. Thanks.
Yeah,
I was
yes.
thinking it is okay to disagree as long as we do it lovingly, really listen and care, and it's mixing the ideas together.
Yes, that's a good point. And Trumpus, we were talking a bit earlier about one thing that I truly value on my path, and is relationships. To me, life finds its meaning through my relationship with everything, starting with myself and the objects I use and the people I'm surrounded with, and you guys here. And relationships are tricky. Usually relationships are paths that cross like this. You meet somebody, I mean, they're not feeling right, they get into your life, and then they heal, and then like when the little bird is healed, it flies away. Oftentimes that's what a relationship is, like a path that is crossing. It can cross like this, it can cross like this, or it can cross like this, you know? So you will spend more or less time with people depending on how many affinities you have. But I was taught this lesson by a Mormon friend from the Church of Latter-day Saints. He said, and he was looking for a wife. He was single, and he said, I'm looking for a wife, and she needs to believe in God the way I believe in God. And I said, well, why is that? I mean, people are all right. Why do you need her to be absolutely a Mormon? And he took a sheet of paper and he drew a dot on the sheet, and he said, this is God. And then he drew another dot and he said, this is me. And then he drew a third dot and he said, this is my prospective wife. Our belief in God has the potential to bring us together as we grow older. It doesn't matter that I'm closer to God right now, or that she is closer to God, or that I'm farther and that she's farther, or that we're at the same stage. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that we are walking towards the same goal, towards the same ideal. And as and when we find this ideal, maybe we stay with it. So it is a way of meeting and staying together. So I think the wisdom behind the Sangha is this, that we all get to walk on the same path. And as long as we share those ideals, as long as we share those values, we'll never be far from one another. Which is basically exactly the same thing as saying that as long as you connect to the light, you are not far from Buddha because you're in the same dwelling, basically. So yeah, that's to me that's something that has changed my life, to understand relationships like this. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about that. Now, once a month, we have an orientation class where we usually explain the rules of the Sangha, a little protocol, and we speak about a little bit about Japanese culture, and we also teach a meditation class and sitting posture and all. I don't do that in regular class because I don't have enough time, and it would be like 3 hours long. Since we have a lot of new people today, I will simply give very simple shamatha instructions, which is the calm abiding or the peaceful meditation instruction, and then we can do a little session together. Sessions in regular sessions last half an hour. The proper duration for a meditation session or a tun in the Buddhist world is 40 minutes. You can do half a tun, which is 20. But for some reason, I found out that since we don't have all the same degree of practice, half an hour works great in this Sangha. So we will do this. You will hear bells during your meditation. And it's because the way we meditate here, we go from relaxing to shamatha meditation. And then we do a little bit of vipassana, a little bit of tonglen, and then we slowly bring back our meditation in the world. So there are phases to the full meditation. So you will need to come. You can read these approaches in the handbook. The instructions are not perfect, but they can serve as a good introduction. And so you can move from one another with the bells, or you can just apply the entire session today, the shamatha. So we'll make this very simple today. Sit comfortably. Just make sure that your back is straight, that your head is well sitting on your neck, and that you're not, feeling anything pull or need to support your own weight very well. That your legs are placed as to create a good support platform so that you don't feel like falling in front or in the back or on the side. If you use a chair, you probably are. If you're using the computer, that's perfectly fine. Just put your hands on your laps so that they rest. Your chest should be open, but not tense. Like it should be soft here. So the way that you lay your hands in your lap should allow your chest to still be soft. You can open your mouth a little bit, like your lips don't have to touch. You can have a little bit of air going in and out. Your teeth definitely not. You can let the tongue rest in the upper palati. And your eyes during meditation, that might be counterintuitive for some of you, but should be open, because the whole goal of meditation is to bring it into your daily life. And it's less dangerous first to fall asleep, but also it kind of helps you to learn to apply introspective discipline while you have visual stimulus. If you find it too hard to concentrate, you can close your eyes in the beginning, and when you feel that you're starting to relax, or where you fall in alpha and start hallucinating or seeing your thoughts very loudly, then you can open them again, and it should balance. So shamatha is usually practiced by focusing on the breath, and that's what we'll do. Some people have respiratory problems and they don't feel too comfortable doing that. So the essence of shamatha is not about the breath. The essence of shamatha is about noticing what you are doing and flexing the muscle that allows you to bring yourself back when you're going away from it. So focus on your breath. And if you start thinking about football, or if you start thinking about what you're going to cook tomorrow, or what you need to shop for, then you're wandering away. That's okay. Just bring your mind back to your breathing when you notice. Yes, Neojax?
Where do we keep our eyes? Do they move or they're in a single spot?
Yeah, it's better to have them in a single spot about 45 degrees at an angle so you could look at the floor. In fact, here's a little tip. If you have never meditated and you have trouble focusing your attention, I think nothing works better than a candle. Fire has something fascinating to it, so your eyes will kind of naturally tie to the flame of the candle in the beginning. But that's kind of cheating because you're using external help. So as you get good with the candle, you should maybe change it for a pebble that you would look at on the ground, and then you could look at a spot on the floor, and then you could look at maybe a point in midair. The point at one point, what you want is for your meditation to be completely objectless and as tied to your uh, breathing as possible, because your breathing goes on all the time and it's unconscious. So it's about creating a Pavlovian reflex of tying your mental discipline to something that happens all the time so that you are conscious all the time. That I think is the clever part of shamatha meditation. So once you sit comfortably, it may help to take 3 deep breaths in the beginning, close your eyes, and then just focus on the breath for the entire 30 minutes. If you see yourself wandering away, you go back. So are you ready with the little bells, Julia?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, thank you. May you have a good session. If your microphone is on, you might consider turning it off, just so we don't startle anybody. Since many of us are new, I'm gonna put some music for support, so don't you worry about me on following your breath, and I will a little something on the screen behind. Thank you, Julia. You may now unmute yourself. I hope you had a good session. I will try to turn that off. Well, finally got it. Okay. So the reason we do 30 minutes, if you're not used to meditate, you certainly realize by now that this is more than enough to drive you crazy. It's difficult to remain sitting with ourselves and with our thoughts and with our mind for a long period of time.
Without
And
sleeping.
in fact, did you fall asleep?
Almost.
Almost, yes.
I try not to.
Okay, so there are, I can give you a remedy or a trick for that. When you get very sleepy, open your eyes wide and look up, look to the ceiling, and you will see that it kind of revigorates yourself a little bit. It helps. Another thing that you can do is breathe fast. You can inhale and exhale very fast, and it will bring some oxygen, and it will excite your system a little bit, and it will help you stay awake. It is normal to, if you do a good meditation and you manage to make your meditation objectless, since your mind has nothing to hold on to, it is normal that you become sleepy, and monks fall asleep in monasteries all the time. But you should apply those little antidotes if you can, because obviously the point is not to sleep, but to remain as conscious as possible. So that's a good kind of sleepiness. The kind of sleepiness that we really need to be wary about is the one when we kind of start settling down and we start dreaming. Okay, if you see that you start dreaming, definitely open your eyes and shake yourself up a little bit, because you're probably just following anything going on in your mind, and you are not being mindful anymore. You are not in control of your meditation anymore, and so you're not flexing the mindfulness muscle. It doesn't matter once or twice or even a few times a week that you wander away, but it should not like be your meditation practice, because it won't help you progress. So that's it. That's it, I think. So, well, normally we would just raise and do the dedication, but I'm a little bit curious about the new guys. This was your first session with us. What do you think of the whole thing? Do you think of the format and everything?
It was really nice. I really liked it. Thank you all.
You, Erin, what were you about to say? All right. Good. And always faithful. I guess you told us earlier that you like the teaching. What do you think about meditating together in VR?
The meditation? Oh.
Sorry,
go
Aaron.
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, buddy.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Always faithful. Sorry about that.
No worries. I was about to say that meditation is great and all, but I got to ask, because I was also searching for something when I came here. I heard about those astral projection things, and now I was looking like to I was looking forward to the meditation, because I thought it was like about astral projection. So basically, I came here to know more about astral projection.
Okay.
Like I just, it's a question, like, as well as it's a question. It's a question.
I understand. The problem with meditative experiences is that they're very enjoyable, or they can be both scary and enjoyable. But I think it's even more problematic when you encounter an enjoyable experience, because you might go back to that always, and it might not really help you deal with restoring your basic sanity or dealing with your emotional states in your daily life. You're basically taking a break to relax and having this wonderful experience. And that is fine. I mean, much better than psychedelics, as far as I'm concerned. There is a yoga called the yoga of sleep, and there is the dream yoga as well, where you practice basically conscious dreaming, where you practice sort of an astral protection, but you also practice what is called the bardo of sleep, where you take notice of what happens between your waking state to your sleeping state. It is possible actually to remain conscious during the night and know that you are asleep and know that you are dreaming in a very, very clear way. It requires a lot of practice, but that is doable. And once you reach that, then you can kind of use your dream environment in the same way that we use VR. You can decide to fly, you can decide to travel, you can decide to try things. And the way that this is used traditionally is to realize that your waking life is just as illusory as your dream life. So you basically taking back the realization that you have created an illusory world during your sleep. And then you wake up and you see that your senses and your mind is still creating this illusory world. So if you want an astral projection, I think this is as good as it gets. But dream yoga and the yoga of sleep might be something that you would like to get into. Also, the Rosicrucian, l'ordre sacré de la Rose Croix, I believe are very adept at astral projection. They use all kinds of incense and all kinds of method to get there. Myself, I am a type of Buddhist that practices with very, very little bells and whistles. What you hear is pretty much all the magic that happens in my Buddhist life. I am very interested simply at not losing my cool in my daily life. So I, unfortunately, always faithful, I cannot help you very much in terms of astral projection. But if you want to discuss those other subjects, I can give you further recommendations for books or people that are great at it.
But wait, a quick question. You mentioned the Rose Croix.
I
Like, do you know
mentioned,
some
yes,
people in
yes,
it?
Rose Croix. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Neojex, yes.
I just had a thought about the astral projection. I also spent some time years ago practicing that, and I found it was a lot of effort. And yeah, like you said, it's still a cool experience, but the reward was not very sustaining. And when we're very mindful, the world becomes more beautiful. The tree that you look at can be amazing. It's like life becomes this wild experience. That's just a thought I wanted to share. But Sensei, I wanted to ask you, you described the benefit of meditation is to like stay sane or super sane. Maybe you could describe more what that is.
Okay. Well, first, thank you. I think this is going straight to the essence of awareness and enlightenment. Basically, our world is a miracle. There is nothing, I believe, in any alternative reality we can create that is actually as beautiful, as complex, as subtle as the real world is. We don't really understand it. And to look at it in that way, you will see in the meditation instructions that I give, there's a little paragraph that says, look like a painter, hear like a musician, smell like a perfumer, taste like a chef, and touch like a blind person. And if you start getting into that way of living, if you start really digging your relationship with the world, you won't need a VR headset anymore, because your experience of life is going to be so vivid. And so, yes, I spoke about basic sanity, and the only way I can start about that is that we're all a little crazy. We all hold certain beliefs that are irrational. We all have what I call the shoulds. You know, we've been conditioned by society, by our parents, by our school. And for example, you know, most of us conceive of life as you're a child, you go to school, you get a job, you get married, you get a dog, you get a house, you get 2 cars, you retire, you travel, and you die. That would be like the path for everybody. This, to me, is insane. That's kind of a collective insanity that we share, because It's not like fishes don't climb in trees and birds don't swim in the ocean. We have particularities, we have preferences, we have talents, we have different constitutions. We're all the same, and yet we're not all the same. So when you start believing that you should you should behave like everybody else, that you should succeed like everybody else, that you, whenever you say should, basically, and it's about yourself, you're being a little bit insane. You're holding a belief that is limiting you, and that may lead you to be kind of violent towards yourself. So if you look at people who have depression or mood disorders, they're usually people who beat very hard on themselves internally. They lack a sense of self-worthiness. They feel inadequate. Same could be true of eating disorders like anorexia, bulimia, all of these. So it's not different, really. Somebody that has a trouble with anorexia and is beating himself very hard is not very different from me, who's beating himself a little bit all the time. It's just that their expression is more intense and is stronger. So that's why I'm saying we're all a little bit insane, and we all have triggers and hooks. There are things, if my father used to treat me in a certain way, if my mother used to treat me in a certain way, and my girlfriend or my boyfriend starts doing it to me, I may react very violently, very severely. If I've been to war and I hear fireworks, I may get startled and jump to the floor. So we all program these things with our experiences in time. Now, these become automatic responses. These become unintelligent responses. And when you are behaving automatically and unintelligently, you are acting insane. So meditation is the perfect place. What you do in meditation actually is that you kind of take a time to cut yourself from the stimuli of the world. And it's like you're going into sensory deprivation. First, you reduce visual stimulation. You do it in a quiet environment. You cut the auditive stimulation. You're immobile, so you kind of cut the touch as well. And so you cut the five senses like that, and your sixth sense emerge. And your sixth sense is your ability to sense what is going on in your mind. So that's how meditation contributes to restore your basic sanity, is that as you notice what is going on in your mind, and as you accumulate years of practice, you start noticing how truly insane you are. And just the act of noticing starts unprogramming you, deprogramming you. And this is by no means a medical advice, but that's how people manage to cure themselves from very severe mental illness and traumas through Buddhism and through meditation, by starting to relate differently with their inner life. They start finding that they start removing layers of programming, and they start restoring their true nature. So would that answer the question appropriately, Neojex? I think you're muted. Okay. All right. So any other comments?
I guess I was thinking, you described how we can let go of these self-judgments and we can be more aware of our states of mind. That's like the foundation. And then when you have that, then there's overflowing love and compassion for everybody, and there's being able to connect with more of your purpose in life, and there's so many more benefits that come as we cultivate these positive states of mind. So I guess I was thinking, if someone's craving astral projection, like the enlightenment that we can have is so much more wonderful. So I was just wanting some more glimpses of that.
Well, the thing about, I like to say that love, and let's consider that love might be the only ultimate outcome of meditation and enlightenment. Let's think for a second that our universe is made of love. Well, as I remove the layers of insanity, and as I remove the layers of self, and as I remove the mental constructions, I am uncovering piece by piece, like the primordial love that is available to the universe. So I like to say that love is always there until you do something. I don't know if you have that experience, but I find it's been true many times in my life. I get into a car with somebody that I haven't met in a number of weeks or months or for a long while. And then in the beginning, there is always like talking nervously. You know, you share your memories, you say, what's up? You talk about the things that you see on the road. But if it's a long ride, there will come a time when you have nothing else to say. You've been riding 3 hours, the person is not talking anymore, and you're not talking anymore. This is the primordial love and the primordial peace. All of a sudden, something is filling the car, and nobody feels the need to say anything else. You're just enjoying space together, one another together. So that would be, for me, an authentic experience of the relationship that you uncover through your meditation practice. And if you can embody that love all the time, well, what more enlightenment do you want? What more consequence do you want? It just transforms everything in your life. So, well, that's it. I think we're going to do the dedication, Julia. And if you guys want to stick around and talk together or whatever, I'm perfectly fine with that. All rise, please.
Do we stand up?
Yes.
For the benefit of beings without exception, I dedicate without any reticence whatsoever all the merit accrued through virtuous acts to the incomparable expanse of totality.
So I pay homage to the Buddha Dharma Sangha. Thank you for coming, everybody. I bow to the divine in you, namaste as they say. And I would ask you to exit the shrine in the same order that you came in. So I think Trumpus, you were fine. You were first. So if you remember who was in front of you, just follow them out of the shrine, and you do the same thing in reverse. So you bow to the seat, you move to the entrance, bow to the shrine, and then you exit. So that's the second part of our little protocol. Peace. Thank you.
Hey, can we talk now? Like, is it cool? All right.
That's a double bow. Very good.
Woo. Oh, it's pretty relaxing.
So, what did you think about it?
It was nice. I mean, it's 1 a.m. in Poland, so I'm sleepy, but I really liked it.
Hey, Julie.
Good morning.
Boy. How you doing?
How you doing?
Good morning to you.
Yes,
Man,
well,
I'm doing
doing?
great. What about yourself?
It's very common.
Man,
Yeah, that's a
because,
nice
bro,
way
me
to
and the
start the
boys.
morning.
at the beginning,
I know,
people
right? Me and the
used
boys
to-
attending Buddhism. Hell yeah.
Hey.
Usually,
Tell me
Hell
about
yeah.
it.
falling asleep.
Hey, man. No, I was. My boy here. I
Yeah, I
met
remember
a
saying
new guy.
yesterday.
All right.
Get
Yeah, his
okay,
name's
nice.
Aaron. You know, I can already tell this boy is a VRChat
That was
Chad.
good.
Like he has experience. You know, he's out there. You know, he's on the grind. You know.